Okay, Year 10, so we're looking at a video that will help you with your preparation for the investigation coming up next week or the week after, depending on the class. So in this task that we're doing, we'll be looking at reading scales, interpreting diagrams, drawing straight lines, and solving problems. So I'm not going to cover all of these things, but some of the key skills. So let's move on. So one of the things is that you can read a scale even if you don't have all the numbers. So for instance, don't forget, these axes have labels, so normally they have labels Y and X, and if you don't label the axes, you're going to get penalised for later on questions. So for instance, sometimes you might have some of the numbers, but you don't have all the numbers, and you have to work out what are the other numbers on the scale. You don't have to have the same scale in both directions. So sometimes I might go up in ones in one direction, and might go up in tens in a different direction. But how do you read a scale when you're given some of the numbers? So this is what you do. So for instance, I know that that number there is 4, so that means halfway along would be 4, and the halfway along would be 2, and then in between would be 6. So once you know one number, and you know how many grids you've got, then you can work out the other scales. So for instance, in this one here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're not going to go up necessarily in ones. If you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 divided by 5 equals 0.8. So that means they're not going up in ones. Like normally they will, but they don't have to go up in ones. Okay, so if you know how many divisions you've got, you just divide that into the number and you can work out what the rest of the numbers are. Okay, so that's one of the skills that you need to know. Come across the next page. Okay, so the next part is drawing straight lines, and I'm going to show you two methods. Method 1 is important, but method 2 is going to be more important for this task. So I'll show you both ways. Okay, copy that and come across when you're ready. Okay, so method 1 is just a table of values. You only need a couple of values, but we'll just do 4 to make sure we've got it right. And you can choose any numbers that you feel like it, but normally low numbers and positive are the best ones. So when x equals 0, 2 times 0 equals 0, and so the number is just minus 5. When I substitute 1 in, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 minus 5 is minus 3, and then after that you can see the numbers are going up by 2, and so you don't need to finish off the rest of them. Okay? So when you've got your scale, you look at the numbers, so minus 5 to 1, so we need 1, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, and we're going to go across to 3, so that's 0, 1, 2, 3, and so the first number, 0 minus 5 is that spot there, 1 minus 3 is that spot there, 2 minus 1 is that spot there, and 3, 1 is that spot there. And if you've done it properly, you should get a straight line, and that's pretty close to a straight line. Okay, if you want to, you can just put little arrows on each end because the line keeps going in both directions to infinity. Okay, so let's have a look at a straight line again. Now this is we know this is a straight line because the power of x is a 1. Okay, if it had y equals x squared, it's not going to be a straight line, it's going to be a parabola, which you don't necessarily have to know for this task. So anyway, this is going to be a straight line because the highest power of x is 1. So again, we just put in the values 0, 1, 2, 3. And so the first number is, when you put 0 in, that number disappears, so y equals 3. Okay, so that's the first number. Next one is you put 1 in, so 2 times 1 is 2. So 2 plus y equals 3. So the 2 goes back to the other side, so y equals 3 minus 2 equals 1. And now you've got your pattern. You can see that the numbers are going down by 2, so then we can just fill in the other numbers. We don't need to fill it in. If you wanted to check, okay, for instance, that number there, we've got 6, so 2 times x, so 2 times 3 equals 6, plus y equals 3. The 6 goes back with a minus sign, and you get minus 3. So it's the same answer, but once you've got the pattern established for the first two, you can finish it off. So this time, okay, x is still going up to 3. So 1, 2, 3. And this time, y is going from 3 to minus 3. 1, 2, 3, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. And so 0, 3 is that spot there. 1, 1, 2, minus 1, 3, minus 3. And again, if we've done it properly, we should have a straight line. Okay, so it's not, I'm a little bit out, but you'll have grid paper for this task. Again, just, oh sorry, make it a pen, and just put arrows at each end. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so when you get a question and you've got the grid paper, you know, you've got to work out what your numbers are going to be. So for instance, if x is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and y was, what was the last question we had? So 3 to minus 3, 3 to minus 3. Once you draw your axes in, you don't make the numbers, you know, 1, 2, 3, and then you have a really cramped graph. You're not going to have a really cramped graph here. What you're going to try to do is work out how big your diagram could be. So you could use as much of the scale as possible. Okay? You're going to have a ruler. So for instance, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So that might be 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 3. So we use as much of the grid paper as we can. But up this way, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll go up in 2s. Okay? Don't forget you have to label your axes. So the point is, I'm trying to use as much, okay, I missed it there. You're trying to use as much of the grid paper as you can, rather than having it cramped up in a little part. So don't forget, use the scale to show as much of the diagram as you can. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so method 2 just involves having 2 calculations, and the calculations are the y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis. So the y-intercept crosses the y-axis, and the x-intercept is where it crosses the x-axis. And what happens is, this is a number, like this is like y equals 3, you know, e.g. y equals 3, but at that coordinate, it's the coordinate 0, 3, so the x number is 0. And here, this is like a number like maybe 2, and the coordinate would be 2, 0, so this time the y value equals 0. So when you have a y-intercept, you have a y number, and when you have an x-intercept, you have an x number, but then the other value is 0. Okay? So at the x-intercept, y equals 0, at the y-intercept, x equals 0. And the question is, how does that help us? And the answer is, it makes the calculation so much quicker. Okay, so copy that and come across. Okay, so here's an example of a straight line. Okay, we've got x to the power 1, so I know it's a straight line. And this is how you could do it. You don't have to do it this way, but this is one way to do it. So you set up 2 calculations. One's an x-intercept and one's a y-intercept. And the way I'm going to show you is you just write the equation out again. So the x-intercept is an x answer, and you cross out the y because y will be equal to 0. So we say 2x equals 6, so x equals 3, and so that's the x-intercept. So for the y-intercept, it's going to be a y number, but the x is 0, so 2x is 0. So then you solve the equation, 3y equals 6, and y equals 2. Just divide through by 3. Here I divided through by 2. So again, okay, I got trying to use, again, using grid. So 3 could be up there. 1, 2, 3. And, sorry, that's x is, y is 2, sorry. So let's cross that out. Okay, so going back. So the y value is going up to 2. So again, we don't cramp it in. So y equals 2 is there. That's 1. And then x is 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then just draw a straight line between those 2 points. And that's the end of the answer. Now, one thing, once you've got a straight line, you can use that straight line to get other values. So for instance, if we want to get a value at x equals 2, you just come up and read the value for y. Or if you want to get the y value at y equals 1, you come across and read those numbers. So once you've got the straight line, you can go up and come across to read another y value, or come across and then go down and find an x value. So once you've got the straight line, you can find other values as well. So copy that and come across when you're ready. Okay, so here's another example. So x equals 1, so it's a straight line. So again, you don't have to do it this way, but set up a little grid. We're going to do the x-intercept, and then we'll do the y-intercept. So for the x-intercept, we're going to have an x answer, but y equals 0. So 0 equals 3x minus 5. And then take the 5 across to the other side by a positive. And then divide by 3. So it's going to be 5/3. Okay, it's a fraction. Can't help that. Now, the y-intercept is a y number. So x equals 0. And so y equals minus 5 straight away. So again, minus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't forget, label the axes. Now, x is 5/3, so that's the same as 1 and 2/3. So 1, 2, so it's going to be somewhere in between. Hopefully it won't be a fraction. It won't be a fraction. So now we have to join we have to join the minus 5 and the 1 and 2/3. And just a little bit out. And there's your straight line. Okay. And again, so once we've got the line, we could read down and then come across to find another value, or read across and then come up and read another value. Once you've got the straight line, you can read off and find other values. Okay, copy that, come across. Okay, so what I've got here is just one for you to do yourself. This will be the last slide. So using the x-intercept, y-intercept method, can you have a go at that? Pause and then come back when you're ready. Okay, so x-intercept we'll do first. So again, you don't have to do it this way, but I'm just trying to give you a recipe. Okay, so the x-intercept is an x answer. So we cross out the y. So 2x equals 12. So x equals 6 is the x-intercept. Okay, the y-intercept is a y answer. So cross out the x. So 4y equals 12. So y equals 3, and that's the y-intercept. Okay, so you'll have a ruler. Okay, so note that the numbers are all positive, so I'm going to draw my axes down the bottom. I don't need to have it in the middle this time. Okay, so that's x, that's y. So I've got to go up to 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to go in 2s. So I can use up most of the paper. So the paper is going to be used. Y equals 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to go up in 4s. 1, 2, 3, 4 is 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 is 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 is 3. So I'm using up as much of the paper as I can, and then you're going to join y equals 3 to x equals 6. Okay, so I'm joining y equals 3 to x equals 6, and now I've got my straight line. And again, if you want to find another value, like what happens at x equals 3, you read come up, come across, and then you've got the number for x equals 3. Or if you want to read across for y equals 1, come across and read down, and then you've got the y values. So you can use the graph to find other values. And that's it. That's the task investigation information that you're going to get. Okay, bye.